Hello automators, I've added a fog machine in an automated way to my Halloween setup. You can do the same thing in your own home. I'm going to show you how I did that today. There were some difficulties with this. It's not easy to figure out, but once you figure it out, you're going to be able to do your own. All right, let's see how this works. There it goes, just as they come up too. Amazing. Yeah, so way better than I thought. I actually really like that. And now I got to put out my decorations. You can kind of customize it for when the kids are coming up to your home. You can blast them before they get there. You can blast a scene with fog when they get there. You've got lots of options here. Okay, right there is my fog machine. And you can see there's a little black box behind it. I'll show you what that is in a little bit. But that fog machine, 55 bucks here in Canada. Now, when I open up my door, let's see. Yeah, there it goes. So there's the fog machine firing, and then you're gonna notice it turns off. So you can control exactly how long that goes. And it's actually based on that little sensor right there and a couple other little tricks. You can also change the lighting if your fog machine has that. Mine does. The fog machine I bought is fairly typical. I didn't spend a lot of money on this, and it comes with this little remote. That's one of the keys. I'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the things that happens with these fog machines is they require about 4 minutes to warm up, and then they have a separate button or a remote like this. And so there's two ways to turn on the fog after that 4 minutes has gone by. You don't want to wait those 4 minutes every time a kid's coming up to your home. So basically, you're going to turn it on, and then we're going to replicate this remote. Now this remote, I thought it was an infrared one when I bought it, and that would have been really easy to replicate. It even looks like one. But it's actually RF, so radio frequency. And these are usually 433 megahertz is kind of the carrier frequency being used by these. So what we actually do is use a piece of smart home equipment to replicate these signals, and you can replicate all of them. Now, this is where I did run into a couple of things with certain smart home platforms. There are restrictions on RF in North America, so 433 megahertz. And so actually one of the hubs that I tried to use couldn't do this. Lots of other hubs wouldn't do this. They actually told me, no, you can't do it in Canada, and this is a problem in Canada and the US. They're kind of restricted in a few ways. So we had to find a specific solution to replicate this. I just set off my fog machine because I was pressing this. There was a lot of fog out there. Anyways, so what we're going to use to replicate this is called Broadlink, and it's called the RM4 Pro. Not an expensive device from like a smart home perspective, but it can replicate infrared and RF signals actually, so it's really nice. Now, this box is sitting about 25 feet away from the fog machine right now, and I think I could go much further, okay? So don't feel really restricted, but this is just plugged in using the USB cable that came in the box into a USB port. What in the end happens is you can program each of these buttons into this little box, and then you can control whatever you have here. So you can see I have like different modes for lighting. I can turn the LEDs on and off. There's some modes there like jump, flash, fade, and then all the different colors. And so I have control of that if I want. Let's get into some of the details for how you do this, and then I'll talk a little bit about motion sensors and some of the options that you'll have there. And speaking of which, today's video sponsor is Tapo and their new C615 kit. This camera could easily be used as a motion sensor for your fog machine or other project. And I've shown this option with Tapo cameras in the past, and this camera is no different. What is different is what's included here. It's truly all in one. It's a fully wireless solar charging 2K 360-degree pan and tilt camera with a built-in 800 lumen motion activated floodlight. And if that wasn't enough, it also comes with a subscription-free AI detection system for pets, people, and vehicles. Its detection and notification system is excellent, and this camera has a local storage option. Install and setup were so easy, and I've been very impressed with the way the footage looks in both the day and in the evening. Plus, the way this camera tracks individuals and even vehicles as they go by our home is incredible. This latest camera and floodlight are truly a set and forget security option. And what's really crazy to me is that it's just $99. Check the links down below to pick up this new great camera from Tapo. In the past, I set up the hub in the app. It's a very easy thing to do. Basically, you hit the plus, you hit add device, and you choose universal remote, and then you're adding this in. A very, very simple process. When you want to add in your buttons, it's a little bit different than you might expect. So this is the hub right here. It's plugged in, and we go into there. You can see I've already added the fog machine, but you can just hit the plus in order to add a new remote. Now there's a number of different types, but in general, we're just gonna say user defined type, okay? And you could say where it is, you can pick rooms, we can name the device, and I'll call this, in this case, Fog 2. And we're just gonna hit save. And now we're gonna go to use the device, and we're gonna add a function button. Now, whether it's an IR remote or an RF remote is what you need to know. And now we're starting to learn. Now the way to learn is to, first of all, it's 433 megahertz. You have to kind of know that. It's almost every one of these fog machines out there. You're gonna hit that, and then you're gonna say, okay, I'm pushing the on button. Okay. Now you can test it so you can see if it works, but in general, just trust that it works, and then you can test them all together later. So now we're saying that, and now we want to say, okay, that was the fog on button. And you can set an icon. There's actually lots of different icons, and then you say okay. Now you can continue to add the different function buttons. So if you want to include things like the color purple, you can add that. So you just say add a function button, learn this code, hit next, and now I'm gonna press the purple button. Okay, we tested it, and now I can add that in as purple. Look, I even have a purple icon. That's great. Now, as you go through those things, you're just gonna add the different LEDs you want. Here's the ones that I added. And now we can send these out from the machine at any time. So we can just hit that, fog on, fog off, LED on, LED off, and we can change our effects and continue to add as we see fit. And then that is usable in some other ways. Okay, let's see. Yep. Easy control. Here's the LEDs off. I can turn them back on. Easy stuff. Now that we have the basic remote working, it's time to automate things, which is my favorite thing to do. Now, as I said earlier, I tried a number of hubs, a number of apps, and basically Amazon was the best and definitely the easiest. You could do this in Home Assistant, guys. It just looks like you have to learn the RF codes inside of that app. But for most people, it's going to be easiest to do it in Amazon's app, especially since this is like a temporary setup in most cases. So that's what we're going to focus on now. Let's start setting up with Amazon and with a little trick in the Broadlink app. To use Amazon's voice assistant application, I'm going to call her Miss A, just so I don't trigger any speakers or anything listening around you. Now, Using Miss A means you can use a lot of different motion sensors, even contact sensors for when someone opens a door. You have lots of options here, and I'm just going to show you the one with my Philips Hue outdoor motion sensor, and then we'll talk about a couple of other options late in the video. With this method, the first thing you have to do is get what's called the Broadlink skill connected in to the Miss A app, okay? And it's a very simple process, very easy to navigate to that. It might change layouts and things in the app in the future, but you're just looking for the skill store and you're gonna connect Broadlink in. Once that's done, all the rest of the tutorial you can just follow through as I'm building it in front of you, and you should be good to go. The first part of the process would be to add a new device, but we're going to go into this Smart Services and we're going to choose Virtual Button. You can put it in any room you want, and then you can call it whatever you want, but you're going to create a fog on and a fog off, okay? Now, I've already created those, but as you do that, okay, you can see there's my fog on, my fog off, and because I've connected Broadlink to Amazon, it's already added in there, so we can already use that. Inside of Amazon's app, you'll actually see these kinds of things. So there they are right there. There are my two, and the new one's gonna pop up at some point. But we have fog off and fog on. What we're gonna do is create a routine here, and then we're gonna create a routine in Amazon's app. So I've already created them, and this is all you have to do. Once the entryway fog on is pressed, we're going to turn on the fog machine. We can send ourselves a nice little notification, so we get that popping up in our app or basically next to here, and then we're going to create a second one. Okay, fog off. When that's pressed, turn the fog machine off, so we're just using that action right there, and then we're sending ourselves that notification again. So we can kind of see that the machine has been turned on and off. Inside of Amazon's app, if you were to just hit this, which is that little virtual button we created, if you hit that to on, it will turn on using that new routine that we just created. So you can manually do that from Amazon anytime, and you can ask Amazon's voice assistant, turn on fog on. The problem with that is it'll stay on forever. So we have to create a little routine. So I'm gonna go into routines, I'm gonna hit your routines, and you can see I've created Hue Outdoor Fog Machine. What's nice about this method is you can use a number of different motion sensors. They have different settings that you can add. There's lots that's nice about this. The other nice thing is right here. It's called suppression. So, you don't necessarily want your fog machine triggering every time a kid comes up, every time the motion sensor goes. Maybe you want to kind of hold that for 5 minutes. You can actually suppress it for any length of time down to a minute. And so what that means is this will not activate more than every 5 minutes. So someone will have to trigger the motion sensor, but then and between these times, that's the other thing, right? Between 6 and 11 p.m. And then it will take 5 minutes before it triggers again. So that won't give you too much fog out there. That's why I like this method. So the way this routine works is when the Hue outdoor motion sensor detects motion, okay, then we will turn on that fog on virtual button. We will wait 5 seconds. We will turn on the fog off virtual button. Yes, I know it's a little weird to turn them on. And then we'll wait 10 seconds, and then I'm turning off both of those. So both fog off and fog on are being turned off so that they're ready for the next routine to run. You can hit finish, and again, you can press that little play button to kind of test everything. So, I hit that play. What I should see, there it is fog machine on, and then fog machine off. And that's all you'll see. Every time someone comes up, triggers that routine, you'll get these 2 notifications and you can feel pretty good that your fog machine is actually off. There's other systems you could use depending on what you have in your home, but you know, this is a pretty simple one, and there's lots of devices that you can bring into Amazon. So, you know, here's my outdoor motion sensor. This is it, right? Outdoor motion, detects motion, and then I can change this, suppress, set the active times, and add my little actions. Your weights are down here at the bottom, and otherwise you're just gonna turn on. The fog on and fog off virtual switches are found inside of plugs, okay? That's where they came in for me. And so you can just turn them on or off like that. All right, let's see how this works. There it goes, just as they come up too. Amazing. So, and that's all based off of this. I pointed it out this way out into the street so that would fire a little bit sooner. Let's talk briefly about motion sensors. Now, you've seen throughout the video I've been using a Philips Hue outdoor motion sensor. That's a Zigbee outdoor sensor, okay? So it's specifically made to go outdoors. That's important because a standard motion sensor is actually not really built to deal with the outdoors and the changing sun conditions. But depending on your porch and the time of day that you want to use this kind of a setup, you could use a basic motion sensor. Third Reality has a really inexpensive set. There's Zigbee, and you can connect them to a lot of like the Amazon Echoes and the Amazon Echo Shows that say they have a Zigbee hub in them. Easy to find out through the marketing pages or through the sales pages if yours has a Zigbee hub, but you can always ask in the comments below. And you know, I'll link all of these products. Now, the Philips Hue outdoor motion sensor is especially good for a couple of reasons, but it will mean you likely have to have a Philips Hue hub in your home. If you don't, there are a couple of other methods for connecting that sensor to other hubs. But if you do have it in your home, you do get some nice settings that really help you kind of control the situation further. So first of all, this is just the device page here. And there are, you can see motion sensitivity and daylight sensitivity settings. So depending on kind of when you want the fog machine to trigger, that sensor actually takes care of a lot of it. Your Amazon routine won't start unless these settings basically for motion and daylight have been satisfied. So there's actually a lot of detail here. Now, there are some other options, as I said, okay? You can use a basic motion sensor. Just make sure it's not looking at the sunlight beating down on it, because as that changes or the clouds show up, that could trigger your motion sensor. If you're okay with that, then it's okay to use one. You can also find a couple of other versions of outdoor sensors. So this is an older model and it's big, but this is the Zoo's outdoor motion sensor. Their newer model is smaller. It can go outside, but you need a Z-Wave hub for this. Something else you can look at doing are presence sensors. These are radar sensors. They're radar based instead of PIR, which is a basic motion sensor, passive infrared. They can work through walls in some cases, so you can actually maybe leave this indoors. So I'm going to leave a couple of links down below to some sensors that'll work for you, but feel free to ask in the comments if what you already have in your home will work for this kind of a scenario. I'm hoping this video has helped you. You can always check out our other fun tutorials that give you ideas for these holidays that are coming up. They're all right there. Otherwise, thanks for watching today. And of course, live smart.